Hello, everyone. This is Tommy Wilkinson from Ripper Mountain Science Center, and today we're going to showcase our living history farm and all that's currently in season. We will highlight specific plants growing, and our garden caretakers will share how they care for our organic garden and what you can duplicate in your home garden. So we're going to pass it over to Dana Lackey and Mary Stark.
Hi everyone, welcome. We're glad you're joining us today. I'm Dana Lackey. This is Mary Stark Kendrick. And Mary Stark is our farm gardener out here, and we have so many things we want to share with you out here on the farm. We're just going to take a casual stroll through the garden, but I'm going to turn it over to Mary Stark here in just a second, and we'll start with our first plant that we're standing near here. Hey everyone, I want to show you an artichoke. I didn't realize these grew here until I started out at Roper Mountain, and they were already growing. This is the plant. And this is the flower. I think that purple is beautiful. You might be able to see a whole bunch of insects if you look right at the top too. It feels almost like a little rubber spiky ball when you touch it. It's so cool. But that's the artichoke, that's the flower, and that's the part you eat. So this is actually past the stage where you would actually eat it. But we're letting it just go to flower to enjoy that stage of the plant. The next plant, just a little bit further down, looks almost exactly like the artichoke. It's a cardoon, and you can see the similarities in the leaves and in the flowers. Look at all the ants. They're after aphids in that bloom right there. This one hasn't opened yet, but it is way spikier. You definitely don't want to start trying to work with that part to eat. The part of the cardoon that you eat is actually the ribbed spine of the leaves, and that's something that we would do in the fall. And these might look similar to a plant that you've seen growing out in the wild, a thistle. So these are all members or in the same family as thistle. They're spiky and they produce the same kind of bloom where you've got these bracts that are really pointed and spiky underneath the flower. And just as a reminder, as we're going along, if anybody has a question, a comment, please add it in. This is a teaching garden out here, and it's also a learning garden. And Mary Stark knows this garden like the back of her hand, but she's still learning. I'm still learning every single day. So we may even ask you a question as we're going along about what we could do about an issue, or if you have a similar problem in your garden. So we're happy to take any questions, and if we don't know, we'll tell you. So we'll keep going here. Let's go this way. And while we're walking here, we have a lot of flowers that we grow along the sides of our garden to bring in pollinators. And just look at the bees on that milkweed. That's the common milkweed. It's the one that the monarchs love. So later in the year, hopefully, we'll be seeing some eggs, and then those caterpillars will strip the leaves off of those plants as food. Behind it is the butterfly bush. And then another plant swallowtails love. This is fennel. It looks a lot like dill and is easily confused, but that one's fennel. It comes back year after year and is beautiful, I think, in the garden, but also a great plant for our butterflies. And it smells like licorice if you rub it. So this bed is full of one family of plants called nightshades. In the cages across the back, you'll see tomatoes. A few are just starting to put out a few blooms. That's kind of exciting. In front of this first group of tomatoes, that's tomatillos used in the green salsa. And there's some flowers under there too. Next to those are eggplant that are just starting to get going now that we've got some warmer temperatures. This is a plant called ground cherry, and that's another one that I wasn't familiar with. A tiny little flower under there. It's
like a tomatillo in that it has a little husk around the berry, but it's sweeter. It's something you would use more like a jam. We've got some peppers in here. So all of these plants are part of the same family of plants. So next year we won't plant them here. We'll move them to another bed because we try to rotate all those plants from year to year so that we don't get pests coming in the same place. So these are fava beans or broad beans. Some people say broad beans. I'm gonna pick one here and show you what it looks like on the inside. This one's not quite ready to harvest, but let's look. So when you're preparing these, you have to peel the outside off, and then you have to boil the inside for about a minute. And then this outer layer comes off, and the part that you eat is that little green part right inside there. So it's a little bit of work, but they're actually really, really good. So that's a fava bean. It is a plant that has also struggled this year. You can look, actually, this is cool. You can look and see the ants. I just cut the top off because the aphids were drawing the ants up. But there's also a ladybug. Do you see her? There she is. Just flew. She's after the aphids. I think maybe the ants are after her. But those are the fava beans. Let's go this way and look at our potatoes. Yeah, we've got grapes. Thomas, there.
These vines are what? Probably about 10 years old now. These are Concord. They're green right now, and they're going to be purple when they ripen this summer. Got a little seed on the inside of them.
So these are our potatoes that we usually plant around St. Patrick's Day. And this year I was looking to see what can we do in terms of trying to keep some of our bugs away. And I was reading about companion planting, plants that you plant together that help each other out. So this plant in the middle of the little square of potatoes is horseradish. And supposedly horseradish keeps away the potato beetles. And we've only had a few, so it may actually be working, but it's fun for me to try those kinds of things, experiment a little bit. These will be coming up probably the middle of June, about when they're ready. Borage is another plant that you see, and it's beautiful. It's the flower is edible. It's a companion plant for potatoes, a companion plant for tomatoes, a companion plant for squash, so I've read. So we're trying it in all those different places this year. You can see a potato. Actually, look. There's one of our red potatoes. Just about ready. You can see in the back side of that bed what looks like grass in the middle. That's broom corn. And that's used to make the straw brooms. It grows like 10 or 12 feet tall and really beautiful seeds on the top of the tassels, but it doesn't make ears of corn to eat. It's just used for making brooms. So this way, we've got strawberries in the row here, and they're flat. Yeah, you can see some flowers. The berry, and you can see the berry starting to form in the middle of the flower there. On this road that we're walking by, we've got zinnias that popped up from seed from last year's flowers. They are so pretty. We've got carrots in here. Let's find one that's ready to grow. And you can see the little shoulders of the carrot. it's usually ready to pull. So we've got a nice one there. And the tops of the carrots are edible too. You can make a pesto out of that, which is really, really good.
Hey guys, we have a question whenever you're ready for it.
Awesome. What you got?
So from Sally, has the cool weather this spring impacted what has grown well this year?
Yes, thank you, Sally. We're at the perfect point to show you one of the things that's done really well. This is the flax. And flax is a plant that's used for lots of different things. You can see, you're probably most familiar with this seed. So let's see if we can show you that. This one is starting, this little seed head is starting to dry out. See the light brown seed? That's flaxseed, and you've maybe seen that on your bread. You've seen it mixed with your granola or something like that. So it's grown a lot for the flax seed. Very nutritional, good for you. It's also grown for making linen. So this is just a piece of linen fabric, and it's a crazy long process from how you go from this stage to the linen fabric stage. So we've harvested some. It's ready to pull up now. And you just pull it from really just kind of grab halfway down, pull it up. It comes up by the root, and the fibers that are in the stem go all the way from the top to the bottom. So this one I've worked on a little bit, and you can see these strong fibers that are in the stems. So the process is probably 6 or 8 steps long. I'm always amazed that people figured out how to do this. I know it wouldn't have been me. But anyway, so that's gives you an idea. And we are hoping to follow this process through all summer long. So the next step will be to harvest it all. This is a bunch that I pulled this morning. And so we'll take another little bit of flax and we tie it off real well. And then this will go in one of our buildings, and it'll hang upside down like that until it's completely dry. So that will probably take weeks and weeks. I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. The next step is actually coming back once that's dry and pulling all the seed heads off. Then you soak it for a long time, then you dry it again. It is quite a process. So hopefully we'll be able to record some of that and show y'all some of these steps down the road. But the flax, in 10 years of gardening out here, this is the best year. And I think it's because the summer has been cool. So thanks, Sally, for the question. All right, let's walk down this way. Got bluebirds nesting out here this year and goldfinches all over. So it's a fun place, not just for plants, but for animals. These are our raspberries. We've got a few starting to ripen in here. And you can prune the raspberries all the way back in the spring so that you get one big crop. If you're wanting to make jam, that's the way you would do it. We like to kind of prune about half and half, so we have raspberries coming just about all summer long. Even have had them as late as early December, so that's been fun. This is turmeric, which is used for a dye. It's used in cooking as well, a spice that's really delicious. It's just starting to come out of the ground. These are some squash that we have. Started with some radishes, little tiny radishes. Haven't really grown enough to be ready to harvest, but radishes are a really fun plant to start with. You can start them almost any time during the year, and you'll have some good produce for your table in just a few weeks. This is our mint. And mint is one of the favorite things for our field trip children that come out to taste and smell. It's so wonderful.
You're such a good mint
Everybody is a good mint grower. That's not it. Our asparagus is here. And you won't see the part of the asparagus you recognize right now, the part that you normally eat, because that's a really early spring thing. So we will harvest asparagus usually starting in March to maybe mid-April. And then it just grows this beautiful leafy foliage the rest of the summer till it dies back. Show them that one, Dana. Okay. So we have a dried loofah gourd here. And the loofah plants are coming up down at the bottom down here. You can see the little seedlings down there. And so this will make a big vine, and it needs a little support, or it does better if it's got a little support. But this being a type of gourd, this is something that's really useful. Once it dries, you can take the outer skin off of it, and on the inside is the sponge. And so if you have seen loofah products, like bath products, where you would scrub your skin or a pot or something like that, this is where loofah sponges come from. A lot of people think they come from the ocean, and you can see what's coming out of here. There's no shortage of seeds, and you see the little white chaff kind of blowing away from it. But pretty easy to grow, would you say, Marie Star? They like the heat. Yep. And I love this part of the loofah, because from very early stages when it's growing, you can see that this, almost like a plug, is there, and you can see a little line of separation. And when it dries, they just pull apart. And normally, obviously, this is going to be hanging from something. So this just falls out, and the seeds fall down, and very carefree.
Reseed everywhere.
Reseed everywhere. That's right. So, yay! A gardener loves good things to reseed. So, happy about that. This yellow, Thomas, there are beautiful goldfinches all over. I think we just missed a chance to see some, but they are loving this yellow flower. This is called coreopsis, and we can see these seed heads that the flower is already gone, but you can tell on one side where the goldfinches have come in to eat the seed out. Let's see if we can open one. I can show you what those seeds actually look like. Oh yeah. See the little black? They're bunches, just like the loofah. Layers and layers of seeds inside that head. So these will do the same thing. These will dry, and those seed pods will break open if the goldfinches don't get to them first. And we'll reseed. So we'll have lots of these next year. They're one of my favorites. This plant is also interesting while we're right here. It's another flower that reseeds in the garden. It's called Nigella. And we just have a few flowers left. They like the cooler temperatures, kind of like the flax. And once that flower fades, this is the seed pod that forms behind it. And the seeds that are inside there are little tiny black seeds you may see sold as black cumin, or then the oil from it, black seed oil. It's all very nutritious. Delicious. Oh my goodness. I have no explanation for our crazy carrots this year, but we just left them in, and they just grew and grew and grew. Now the worms are enjoying them, but they went crazy. This is looks like Queen Anne's lace, and it's related. Carrots are related to Queen Anne's lace. Look at all the ants and insects on there too. But it's that's if you let the carrot grow and grow, it goes to flower. And so the seeds for the carrots will be found here once this dries. So this is the next stage. It's starting to dry out. You can see some seeds, and they're starting to form. You want to look at the lemon thyme?
Hey guys, looks like they're having a few connection difficulties out there on the farm. Not always the best signal out there. So bear with us for a few minutes and we'll see if we can get them added back on. Once again, if you didn't hear before, we're having some connection issues on the farm and we're trying to get reconnected to Dana and Mary Stark. So just give us a few minutes. And I just got word that their phone actually overheated and they are getting ready to reconnect right now. So just a few more seconds and they should be back. All right, we have Thomas back on now. And sorry about this, guys. Seems like we're still having some issues out there. Thomas is back on the stream with Dana and Mary Stark, but it looks like it might be frozen again. So we're trying to fix the issue, and maybe it just came back. Let's see.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back, guys. Good job.
We have some onions growing here. This bed is sort of a low spot in our garden, so they maybe get a little bit too much moisture. In other places where it's higher, we do have larger onions, but these have struggled a little bit this year because we have gotten a lot of rain. That's cilantro that's going to seed here. So good in salsa, and this is some that has already dried. And when you use the dried seed, you usually see it sold as coriander. But this is another good one that we just toss those seeds out there. We'll have cilantro guaranteed for next year. More flowers are along this outside bed. Our black-eyed Susans are just starting. And I think earlier I started to talk about this. This is a passion flower vine. And the other day I saw a Gulf fritillary caterpillar on it, but I don't see one on this one. It makes a beautiful little flower and is definitely a magnet for those caterpillars. Our teepees that we have in the garden, we grow most frequently beans on. We've got a few that have popped up from seed down here at the bottom. What's an asparagus bean that might get 12 or 15 inches long and is really, really delicious. In the corner right here are beets. They go in pretty early. They like to get a cool start, but you can see those growing under the ground there. And then we have a blueberry bush on this side of the fence, and at the base of the blueberry bush is a patch of lemon thyme that is just alive with bees. It's just so fun to watch. If we don't have any more questions, I think we'll call it a day. So glad to have you out with us at Ripper Mountain today. We miss having you in person, but we sure are glad to get to have some time with you this way. Have a great afternoon. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in, guys, for this week's Thoughtful Thursday. So make sure to tune in next week as we do another one. So once again, thank you for following Ripper Mountain and joining us today.